Welcome to Historical Judgments. Today we delve into the life of Harry S. Truman, the 33rd President of the United States, who faced world-altering decisions like dropping the atomic bomb. Was he a leader making tough calls in unprecedented times, or a man whose choices reshaped morality? Mr. Truman, your decision to drop the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki has sparked controversial discussions. How do you defend this significant decision today?
Look, dropping those bombs was a gut-wrenching decision. No leader wants to wield that kind of power. But back then, we were in a race against time. I stand by the choice I made because it ended the war swiftly. The lives lost were haunting, no doubt, but I believe it saved even more lives in the long run.
During your tenure, you initiated the Korean War, which resulted in many casualties. How do you perceive your role in that conflict now, along with its resulting impacts?
The Korean War was a harsh reality check. War is never clean, and I take responsibility for my role. The goal was containment, stopping the spread of communism. I hoped for a swift victory, but the sacrifices were immense. I acknowledge the human toll and the mixed outcomes of that decision.
Your integration of the armed forces in 1948 transformed the military. How do you respond to criticism suggesting that these changes didn't go far enough to eliminate segregation and discrimination?
Integrating the military was a move toward equality, but it wasn't a magic fix. I knew it wouldn't wipe out discrimination overnight. Change takes time, and I own up to not pushing harder for justice.
The establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 occurred during your presidency. How have your decisions and views influenced this pivotal geopolitical shift?
The birth of Israel was significant, no doubt. I saw it as a haven, a response to the Holocaust. But the regional aftermath, the tensions, that's the tricky part. Decisions have ripple effects, and the situation there is still volatile.
Your administration was involved in efforts to identify and address perceived communist threats within the United States, which included investigations and blacklisting. Looking back, how do you reconcile these actions with the principles of free speech and civil liberties that are fundamental to American democracy?
Balancing national security and civil liberties was tough during the Cold War's communist fears. Some actions might have crossed lines, but it's a lesson in safeguarding both security and freedom. History shows the risks of overreach. Democracy demands ongoing protection, even amid uncertainty.
The decision to initiate the Marshall Plan to aid Europe after World War II had far-reaching consequences. How do you evaluate the successes and challenges of this program from today's perspective?
The Marshall Plan was about rebuilding a shattered Europe, and it worked to an extent, but it wasn't without complexities. Some nations flourished, others faced setbacks. It was a gamble for a more stable world.
Your term in office was defined by Cold War tensions. Looking back, are there moments when you believe that diplomatic solutions might have been more effective than escalating conflicts?
Cold War tensions had the world on edge. In hindsight, sure, I could have opted for more diplomacy. But in those moments, the fear was real. Escalation seemed necessary to avoid weakness.
Your Fair Deal program aimed to advance social reforms and economic justice. In hindsight, how do you assess the success of your efforts in achieving these goals?
The Fair Deal aimed high, no doubt. I wanted progress, but compromise was constant. It's easy to point out what fell short. Success, maybe not as much as I'd hoped.
The founding of the United Nations was a significant step after World War II. Do you have any concerns today regarding the effectiveness and power structures of this international organization?
The UN was a lofty idea, post-World War II. It brought nations together, but it had limitations. Power dynamics, bureaucracy, they've influenced its effectiveness. It's a tool, but it's not a cure-all.
In the course of history, do you wonder whether you are regarded as a villain or a flawed contemporary figure?
Labels like villain or flawed oversimplify the intricate choices a leader faces. I didn't aim for popularity. I aimed to lead in the best interests of my country. If someone views my decisions as villainous, it's a testament to the complexity of governing. As for being flawed, well, show me a leader who isn't. History should acknowledge the tough calls made in the crucible of challenges, rather than pigeonholing us into tidy narratives. I'd rather be remembered for navigating the storm than for seeking easy acclaim.